Hi everyone, welcome to Insights IAS. If we go back in the history of Delhi, empires have fought for claiming their power to Delhi. And today also, one important result came out. In today's session, I would not be talking about who won or who lost. There are multiple news channels which have already given you that news, and I'm sure in thorough detail. What we would discuss today is understanding Delhi Assembly and the polity around it, because that's what UPSC will ask. So let's move towards the polity angle or understanding the Delhi Assembly. So if we go into the historical background of the Delhi Assembly, Delhi's first legislative assembly was constituted in 1952 with limited powers under the Part C classification. So what is Part C? So if you go back in 1950, there were basically the states, Indian states were classified into four parts: Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D. Delhi was part of Part C states. So Part C states were former Chief Commissioners provinces and some princely states of British India. So Delhi came under this. President of India appointed the Chief Commissioner to govern each Part C state. And even if you see today, Delhi's Chief Minister is appointed by President only. Now, moving forward into this, the assembly was abolished in 1956 and it took 37 years, massive 37 years for Delhi to get back its assembly. So, assembly was abolished in 1956, Delhi became a union territory, remaining without an assembly for 37 years until 1993 when it got back its assembly. So, before this assembly of 1993, which will come, we also need to see what was the governance structure from 1956 to 1993. At this point of time, it was a metropolitan council with recommendatory powers, while the central government retained control over key areas like law and order and land. And if you see, that still is there. Center still commands the law and order, land, police, and everything associated to this. In 1993, Delhi regained its legislative assembly. So after 37 years, the drought was over and Delhi got back its legislative assembly with 70 seats. But the critical functions like police, law and order, land, that still remain with the center, and that is also the case today also. To understand the Delhi structure, it is also important to understand Article 239 AA of the Indian Constitution. Now, this article was introduced through 69th Constitutional Amendment Act, granting special status to Delhi based on S. Balakrishnan Committee, that is 1987 recommendation. And this is also very important from prelims perspective of a factual information being asked in one of the pointers of a question. So beware about this. Always remember this. Okay, introduced by the 69th Constitutional Amendment Act 1991, which introduced Article 239 AA, granting special status to Delhi based on S. Balakrishnan Committee 1987 recommendations. Moving forward, let's also understand composition and representation under this article. So Delhi Assembly got 70 elected members. Party must win 36 seats to form government, and Council of Ministers strength was kept at 10% of the assembly strength. So the maximum ministers which Delhi can have is 7. So 7 ministers at maximum 10% of the assembly strength and 70 elected members, and to form a majority government or to basically win, you need to win 36 seats to form a government out there. So this was the composition and representation under Article 239 AA. Under this article, let's also understand the legislative structure and the governance structure which was implemented. So if we come about the legislative powers, the assembly can make, so basically the Delhi government can make laws on state list, concurrent list, but there were exceptions specifically related to land, law and order and police, and certain related entries that was 64, 65 and 66 in the state list, which remained under the central control. So even if you go back to the era of metropolitan council or before that, these particular things, that is your land, law and order, was still with the center, and this continued. So these were the legislative powers. Moving to the governance structure, the Chief Minister of Delhi was appointed by the President and advises, the Chief Minister is appointed by the President, advises on the ministerial appointments. Lieutenant Governor acts the administrator. Basically, Lieutenant Governor is the representation of the center in Delhi with the powers to summon, prorogue and dissolve the assembly. Later on, the Article 239 AA, it was supported by Government of NCT of Delhi Act 1991, which enacted to define Delhi's administrative structure and governance framework. So this structure was there. But there was a problem in this structure which will eventually lead to the tussle between the LG, that is Lieutenant Governor, and the Delhi government, or I can say central government versus Delhi government. So let's understand that particular part also. See, the LG had to either act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, or he is bound to implement the decision taken by the president on a reference being made by him. So this particular part tells when the president comes, the center becomes powerful, or the LG has to listen to the president. That means towards the central government. It also empowers the LG to revert a difference of opinion on any matter with the Council of Ministers to the president. Again, president comes, then the central government comes. So this dual control between the LG and the elected government leads to power tussle. This we have continuously seen in Delhi, even if we see the last 10-14 years. So, even if we see the last 10 years in Delhi, we have continuously seen the tussle between the state government and central government, and LG has been one of the most important pivot where this entire battle has risen and fought. And this legislative and power battle was so ferocious that eventually it went to Supreme Court of India, which in the two constitutional benches of Supreme Court of 2018 and 2023 clarified that Delhi's governance framework and extent of its legislative power and executive powers. And it basically, Supreme Court gave more powers to the Delhi government. So let's move to the next part of the session, that is the Battle of Delhi. So as we move towards the Battle of Delhi, this battle starts around 2015, in which it is Lieutenant Governor versus Delhi government, or I can say central government versus Delhi government over the control of services. And this battle starts around 2015. So let's understand what is this services. So the term services in Delhi's parlance refers to control and administration of Delhi government officers. Their postings, transfers, disciplinary action, and appointments of bureaucrats, which include IAS, IPS, and DANIC services, that is Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar Island Civil Services. So why is the fight on these bureaucrats? See, if the Delhi government has control over the services, these officers would come under the Delhi government. They would be coming under the Delhi government, and hence Delhi government would be more powerful in implementing its schemes. But on the other hand, if these services are under the LG, and ipso facto under the central government, then central government can have their power in Delhi through these officers. So this was the tussle which was going on, that who control the services. If the central government control the services, they control the bureaucrats who are sitting on the important position, and that way they are basically controlling Delhi. So obviously Delhi government would not be adjusting to this reality or adjusting to this new reality that the central government wants to take over all these services, because they think if the Delhi government is there, services should belong to them. So this was the tussle which was going on over the All India services, Delhi Andaman Direct services. So eventually this tussle was going on. The tussle reaches Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gave a split verdict in 2019, and a 5-judge constitutional bench recently in May 2023 granted more powers to the Delhi government over services. So Delhi government is very happy that they've got back their services, and the Supreme Court ordered that the Delhi government will have control over administrative services other than matters related to public order, police and land, which was, since I go back to the after independence, if we see public order, police and land, Public order, police and land was with the center, which was continuing. So the Supreme Court went back to the previous legislative structure which was existing. So Delhi government was very happy about this outcome, and they thought that they have won this. So they thought they have won this battle, but actually the war had just begun. And once again, the center will strike. So to counter this judgment of the Supreme Court, central government passed National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Ordinance 2023. And obviously what they will do under this ordinance, services was again taken from Delhi government and put under the LG. And if it is under the LG, you know where it is going, with the central government. And later on, it was replaced with Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Act 2023, giving more power to the center. In July 2024, the Delhi government, they went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, yes, this case is very important. We need to give time, and fast tracking of the case should be done. So they filed a petition arguing that the act undermines the principles of the representative democracy and hampers the effective governance in the NCT. So as of now, the case is pending, but the Delhi government, under which party which had filed this petition, they are no more in the power today, which we have seen by the election results by now. So let's see what will eventually happen. But now in Delhi, and in the center, it is the same party's government. So let's see if they would be pursuing this case. I don't think so. They will pursue this case. But the reality of Delhi has changed today. And today I can certainly say, in the past it used to be said that whoever controls Delhi, they control India, or they control the center. But today the reality is that whoever controls the country, they would be controlling Delhi. So that is the mandate which we have seen in today's result. And I'm sure you must have seen the elections result by now. So we wanted to cover the Delhi Assembly part for you, how Delhi Assembly over a period of time has changed and what were the legal battles which were fought in the last 10 years. So I hope this session has helped you. If there is some important topic which you want us to cover, please mention in the comment section. So please like the session, share the session, also press the bell icon. I hope you've understood this topic in detail. Thank you very much and Jai Hind.